Welcome to Speak, Think, Serve, the blueprint for growth without burnout. Sharpen your words, strengthen your mind, and serve with intention.
Picture this, Miles. Two people walk out of the same messy meeting, let's say a project update that went off the rails, people talking over each other, action items flying everywhere. One person shrugs, grabs a coffee, and moves on. The other? They take 5 minutes, jot down a recap, and send it to the team. Guess whose version of that meeting shapes what actually happens next?
Oh, it's always the person who sends the recap. It's almost like they're the director calling cut and print. Their version is the one that sticks. And the upside is huge. When you're the one shaping the recap, you bring clarity, show leadership, and earn trust. And the person people trust to create order is the one that gets bigger opportunities. You're not just cleaning up the meeting, you're positioning yourself as the go-to leader.
Exactly. That's the hidden leadership move nobody talks about. Whoever writes the recap controls the frame. You set the focus, the tone, the priorities. It's like if you write it, it lives. If you don't, it shapeshifts. And the science backs this up. Kahneman's work, Columbia's stats research, all say the way you present info changes how people remember and act on it.
Yeah, the framing effect is real. Take the same meeting, chaotic, people talking over each other, but we eventually landed on a clear next step. Now imagine the recap. One person starts with, "We aligned on a clear next step." Another starts with, "We had a lot of disagreements." Both are true, same meeting, but the team walks away with two completely different impressions. And here's the kicker. It's not just mood, it's momentum. Google's Project Aristotle found that the teams who win aren't the smartest, they're the clearest. And clarity moves work forward faster and with a lot less stress.
And it's not just about memory either. There's this thing called the serial position effect. People remember what's first and last. So if you put the win or the decision up top and the next step at the end, you're literally programming what sticks.
And the authority signal is subtle but real. People don't always remember the details of a messy meeting, but they do remember the recap that lands in their inbox. When it's written clearly, concisely, and cleanly formatted, it becomes the gospel. Folks assume you've got the details right, and they start following your version. You end up steering the direction.
And it's available to anyone who's willing to take 5 minutes and close the loop. That's the real leadership move, especially in those moments when things feel chaotic. You don't need to have all the answers, but you can be the one who brings clarity. That's what people remember.
And honestly, it's the fastest way to build trust. If you're the person who can turn chaos into a one-page action plan, you become the go-to. That's how you build a career.
So let's get into how to actually do this, how to confirm, clarify, and close the loop so your recap isn't just a diary but a map for what happens next.
All right, so let's break down the anatomy of a recap that actually works. There's a simple structure I use: headline, decisions, action items, open questions, and next steps. And the order matters a lot. Remember, people recall what's first and last, so you want to lead with the outcome and close with the next step.
And the timing is everything. The forgetting curve is brutal. People forget up to 70% of new info within 24 hours if you don't reinforce it. So, send your recap fast, ideally within an hour, but definitely same day. That's how you keep momentum and make sure nothing slips through the cracks.
Let's do a quick role play. Imagine a weekly project update. Lots of people, lots of moving parts. Here's my 60-second spoken recap. Team, today we confirmed the new launch date for the app, June 15th. Sarah will finalize the UI by Friday, and Jamal owns the API integration, due next Wednesday. Open question. We still need clarity on the client's data requirements. Sarah will follow up. Next touchpoint, Monday 10 a.m., Sarah to send agenda.
That's tight, and notice you use names and dates. No, we should, or someone will. That's what makes it stick. But I'd add a little accurate optimism to the frame. Instead of just listing the open question, I'd say, we made real progress on the launch and we're one client answer away from locking in the final build. It's honest, but it keeps the energy moving forward.
Exactly, and here's the bigger point. When you give a tight-spoken recap and follow it with a clean written one, you're doing two things at once. You're shaping the team's memory of the meeting, and you're setting the pace for what happens next. People don't have to wonder who's doing what or when. It's all there. That's how you build momentum and lower the stress for everyone.
And that's the confirm, clarify, close loop. Confirm, so everyone's on the same page. Clarify, so there's no fog or confusion. Close, so the loop is shut and action items have owners and deadlines. If it isn't recapped, it turns into 10 different versions.
And the biggest mistakes? Overcomplicating it. Wall of text, nobody reads it. Waiting too long, momentum dies. Or adding your own editorial spin, just mirror what was agreed. And always, always use names and dates. We is not an owner.
I use direct, clear language, no jargon, no fluff. And I'll even do a quick accountability check in the next meeting. Hey, last week's recap said Jamal had the API by Wednesday. Where are we? It keeps things real, and it builds a culture of trust and follow-through.
And if you want your recap to be memorable, make it sticky. Use the subject line as a headline that sums up the win or the focus, like launch date locked, next steps for app go live. That way, even if people only read the subject line, they know what matters.
So whether you're running a project, a shift, or just trying to keep your group chat on track, this structure works. Confirm, clarify, close. That's how you move from chaos to clarity every single time. Let's bring this down to earth with some real-world stories. I love how this shows up everywhere, like in healthcare, nurses use handoff sheets with explicit owners, and suddenly stress drops and mistakes go down. Or in construction, a crew leader who recaps daily stand-ups sees the crew start prepping ahead, just because it's always in the recap.
Yeah, and in tech, I've seen product managers who reorder their recaps to put the outcome first. Suddenly, stakeholders stop relitigating old decisions. It's all about the frame. And in restaurants, a shift recap that lists 3 micro wins and 3 fixes, service scores go up because people feel progress and clarity, not just criticism.
Let's do a quick demo. Take a vague action line like, we should look into the client's feedback. How do you sharpen that?
Easy. Jordan, review client feedback and send summary by Friday, 3 p.m. Now it's got an owner and a deadline. That's what drives follow-through.
And the failure modes? Wall of text recaps, nobody reads them. Or editorial spin, suddenly it's your opinion, not the team's decision. The fix? Cap it at one screen, use bullets, and quote decisions directly. A simple calendar block, 10 minutes after every meeting, just to send the recap, can make this a habit.
And here's a template you can use tomorrow. Headline, outcome plus date, decisions, bulleted, bold verbs, actions, owner, deliverable, due date, open questions, max 3 with who's driving, next touch point, date, time, owner. That's it. Keep it neutral, keep it forward-leaning, and always close the loop.
I'll add my shorthand, confirm, lock in the shared truth, clarify, clear the fog before it turns into confusion, close, end with action items, owners, and deadlines. That's how you make sure things move forward, not just around in circles.
And we want to see you put this into action. Here's our community challenge. Post your next recap headline and 1 crisp action item in the comments. Or share a before and after, how you reframed a messy meeting into a clear recap. Swap your best subject lines, or tell us about a loop you closed this week and what changed because of it.
All right, before we sign off, let me give you a live demonstration of exactly what a good recap sounds like, so you can use it as your model. Here we go. Headline: The hidden power of the recap, how to confirm, clarify, and close. Decisions we made today. 1. Sending a recap is a leadership move anyone can make. 2. Whoever sends it controls the frame, which shapes what gets remembered and what gets done. And 3. The best recaps are short, structured, and sent fast, ideally the same day. Action items. Miles. Prep the draft for next week's episode on how to disagree without derailing the conversation. Due Friday, 5 p.m. Imani. Review Miles's draft and create at least 2 role-play scenarios to include in that episode. Due Monday, noon. Listeners. Send 1 recap this week using the 5-part structure we taught. Headline, decisions, actions, open questions, next step. Post your headline and 1 crisp action item in the community feed by Sunday night. Open questions. How can we make these live roleplay examples even more relevant for different industries? Miles will collect feedback from listeners in the feed. Next touchpoint. We record the next episode on Tuesday at 10 a.m., reviewing the roleplays and refining based on your feedback.
That's it. Simple, neutral, and forward-moving. If you want to get good at this, listen to this podcast a few times. Study how we framed things, what we left out, and how the structure kept it tight. Then use it for your own meetings. And while you're at it, post your recaps in the community so we can all learn from it, and play the game we created in the additional resources.
Send the recap, close the loop. That's how you get trusted and promoted. See you next week.
You've been listening to Speak, Think, Serve, the blueprint for growth without burnout. Remember, ideas don't change things. Action does.